Hello Boris class, welcome to Friday's maths lesson. Hope you have got on okay with these maths lessons, that you've been doing some little activities, and we'd love to hear from you. You've got our email address, so email us and let us know how you're getting on. Right, in today's maths lesson we are going to think about odd and even numbers. This week in our maths we've done lots and lots of counting in twos, and on today's lesson on Thursday's lesson we counted in twos but did it slightly differently. So there was a reason why we were doing that, because today we're going to think about odd and even numbers. So we're going to think about that in a minute, but let's do some counting. So today I thought we'd get up and do some moving with our counting. So I want you all to stand up and we're going to march around the room that you're in, maybe your front room or wherever you are. I want you to march around. I'm going to tell you the number I want you to stop on. I want you to freeze. If we're counting backwards, I want you to march backwards. And if you're counting forwards, I want you to march forwards. So you need to really listen to the number we're going to start on, the number we're going to finish on, and think, are we counting forwards or are we counting backwards? Because if we're counting forwards, we're going to march forwards. If we're going to count backwards, we're going to march backwards. Okay, I'm going to have a little go at marching around as well, so you might not see me so much. But I'll come and tell you the numbers that I want us to start from. So, everybody up. I want you to start. We're going to start marching. We're going to start counting at number 7 and we're going to finish at 15. 7 and 15, okay? So we're going forwards. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Have you stopped? This time, let's start on 12 and end on 20. Start on 12, end on 20. Ready, go. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Great. This time, let's start on 17 and end on 11. Backwards, 17, end on 11. 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11. Next one. Let's start on 29 and end on 21. Ready? 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21. This time, let's go forwards, marching forwards. Let's start on 37 and end on 45, 37 to 45, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. Let's start on 69 and end on 77, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77. Okay. Let's start on 84 and end on 74. 84 to 74, backwards. 84, 83, 82, 81, 80, 79, 78, 76, 75, 74. Amazing. If you wanted to, you could do a bit more of that. You could pause and ask your grown-ups to give you 2 numbers for you to march in between, either forwards or backwards if you want to do that. Okay, so today we're going to think about odd and even numbers. So I'm going to tell you. An even number is a number that can be split, can be divided into 2 equal groups. I'm going to go on and explain a little bit more, but that's what an even number is. And an odd number is a number which cannot be split into 2 equal groups. And there's a way, Year 1 children will go on and think a bit more about that. But there's a way in which you can find out if a number is odd and even really quickly. Remember, it can be split into 2 equal groups. So I'm going to get some counters here. I'm going to put them on my board. And I'm going to see I've got 2, 4, 6. I've got 6 counters. And the way you can tell if a number is even is if you can line them up in pairs. If you can line them up in pairs, that means it's an even number. Because look, I've got 2 equal groups. If they're all in pairs and there's not one left over, then they're in 2 equal groups. Equal means the same, doesn't it? So they're in 2 groups that are exactly the same. They're equal, 2 equal groups. So you can pair up and decide if a number is odd or even. Let's do another one. Okay, let's see how many I've got. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 8 this time. Let's see if I can pair them up. There's a pair. There's a pair. There's a pair. There's a pair. Look, they're in pairs. There's none left over. So look, they're in 2 equal groups, 2 groups that are the same. So it's an even number. So 8 is an even number. Let's do another one. Look how many I've got. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I've got 11 now. Let's see if 11 is an odd or an even number. Let's pair them up. I quite liked doing it in those colours. That was quite clear, wasn't it? Let's try and pair these up. Oh, that's not very clear. Let's do that. There we go. Oh look, I've got one left over. I can't pair them up. So look, they're not in 2 equal groups because this one's got more, so they're not equal, they're not the same. So 11 is an odd number because you can't pair them up. So what I want you to do now, I want you to get your counters and I want you to just grab a handful of the counters and I want you to count how many you've got, and then I want you to pair them up and decide if that number is odd or even. So I want everyone to have a go at doing that now. So pause the video and grab some counters and decide if the number of counters you've got is odd or even. Remember, even numbers, you can put them into 2 equal groups, so you can pair them up. Odd numbers, you'll have 1 left over. So go and do that now. Okay, so hopefully you've worked out with the counters. Another thing you can do, something to do with reception children, I'd like you to have a go at doing this. I have been around my house and I have tried to find lots and lots of pairs of socks. In fact, you could do this when your grown-ups do the washing. I want you to make the socks into pairs and decide if you've got an even number of socks or an odd number of socks. So get all the socks before they're paired up. All mine have already been paired up. But before they get paired up, I want you to get all the socks and I want you to count how many socks you've got, and I want you to decide if that's an odd or even number, and you can put them into pairs, and that will tell you if you've got an odd or even number. So reception children, that's what I want you to do next time your grown-ups go and do some washing. Now in your packs, great. So reception children, you've done that with the counters. What I want you to do now is I want you to, and we'll do it together, I want you to ask your grown-up to write a number on your board. So rather than going from counters, we're going to think about numbers now, and we're going to decide if that number is odd or even. So I want you to get your grown-up to write a number on your board, and then I want you to decide if that number is odd or even. So let me show you. So if your grown up was to say 4, grown up, or you, because you're really good at writing numbers now, aren't you? You could write 4 on your board, and either using your counters, I'd like you to decide if that number is odd or even. So you would count out your 4 counters, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you put them on your board. Whoops. You put them on your board and you decide if 4 is odd or even. Look, 2 equal groups, they're in pairs, so it's even. That's what reception children I'd like you to have a go at doing now. Ask your grown up to write a number on the board and use your counters and decide if that number is odd or even. Remember, even numbers, you can split your groups of objects into 2 equal groups. Odd numbers, you can't split them into 2 equal groups. You will have one that is left out. So reception children, I'd like you to do that. Now, Year 1 children. Now I think, I'm going to go and find here's my number 1. You are really smart at counting in 2s, really good. So I'm able to tell you that when we're counting in 2s, if you start in 0, all the numbers that you say when you're counting in 2s starting from 0, those are all of the even numbers. So if we count in 2s now, starting from 0, these are all the even numbers, okay? I'm going to do it for you. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So all of those numbers are the even numbers. Yesterday we did some counting in 2s, but counting starting from 1. When you're counting in 2s from 1, these are all the odd numbers, okay? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19. Those are all the odd numbers. So you might be smart enough to be able to do the next sheet that you're doing without getting all your counters out. If you just think about counting in 2s, then you should be able to know if it's an odd or an even number. Give it a go. So Year 1 children, in your pack I think there's an odd and even number sheet. I haven't got it out already, so it should be. Yeah, it's really tricky. It's quite a tricky one. This one. Have a go. Just have a go. Look at these numbers. Decide if it's odd or even. Think about your 2 times, when you're counting in 2s, your 2 times table. And think about if that's an odd number or an even number. Give it a go. I'd really like to hear how you got on with it. See how you get on. Okay, off you go doing that then, and I will see you on Monday. So we won't be doing these videos at the weekends, and this is Friday's video. So we will see you on Monday, ready for some more maths. Okay, lots of love. Take care.